level of fish oil, and we selected the high triglycerides patients and let them consume tocotrienols for a period of 2 months. Surprisingly, at the end of the treatment period, the treatment group actually have a 30%, close to 30% reduction in terms of their blood triglycerides level. As we probably now know that triglycerides are closely associated with metabolic syndrome and heart diseases risk. So I guess the result is actually quite remarkable. In particular, when we compare to a bigger trial on fish oil, where after 1 year of continuous consumption of fish oil, we only achieve a 15% reduction in terms of triglycerides.
30% to 15%, it's quite a big difference there, isn't it?
Yes.
Let's talk about how that's happening. I mean, how is this working? As a lipid, is it good cholesterol in some way?
Lipids, we normally, the lipids that is found in the serum, 90% of them are actually synthesized in our liver. So a very small proportion is actually contributed from the diet. So the mechanisms that we have reported actually by consuming tocotrienols is able to suppress the triglycerides lipid synthesis in the liver. So that also in the past, tocotrienols has previously already been reported to in the same way suppress the synthesis of cholesterol in the liver.
Earlier in part one, you mentioned a particular ongoing study in the United States. Is that to explore the effectiveness in lowering triglycerides? We will be starting another studies actually with the American University at UCLA to investigate the impact of tocotrienols in terms of metabolic syndrome markers, triglycerides and cholesterol in Caucasian populations. Well, fantastic. Best of luck with that one, Dr. Yap. Let's talk a little bit more about the research findings and what is shown about tocotrienols. Another particular study has pointed towards, in animal studies, a potential link to anti-tumor effects. I believe it was with prostate cancer?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. The current therapies for prostate cancer essentially is chemotherapies or radiation. So although that these two therapies kills the cancer cells, that in the same way they are also killing the normal cells. And in the process, actually, some of the cancer stem cells that evade the therapy actually found their locations to be to actually metastasize or move to a distant organ, responsible for future relapse. So in DavosLife Science, in collaborations with Australian Prostate Cancer Research Centre, actually have found that tocotrienol not only kills the cancer cell, prostate cancer cells, it also kills the prostate cancer stem cells.
My goodness.
So this is extremely, interesting observations. So far, these stem cells has proved to be elusive, and they have evaded standard therapy, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy.
Was that a published article, a published study recently?
Yes, this is actually, we have done a press release, and also there was a press conference being called by the Australian Prostate Cancer, and the result has recently been published.
Fantastic. Let's talk more about the intake then. I mean, when it comes to supplementation and vitamins, sometimes we might be a little bit cautious. Sometimes, could there be too much of a good thing? Is it safe? Are there quantities where it's not safe in?
I think in terms of vitamin E, for a normal healthy patient, for healthy living, we are pretty much recommending 100 milligrams of tocotrienol intakes per day. And being a naturally sourced ingredient, there has been proven records from in terms of vitamin E family in general that they are low toxicity.
What happens if you're already taking vitamin E, tocopherols, for example? Why should you take tocotrienols then?
I think because the clinical health benefits are actually non-overlapping, and tocotrienols possess a unique health benefit. Those who are taking tocopherols should continue on, but add tocotrienols into their daily supplementation.
So if they're non-overlapping, what would the benefits of tocopherols be essentially?
Tocopherols, I think, traditionally has been very good in terms of maintaining cell integrity, in preventing the lipid peroxidation, etc.
Alrighty. Dr. Yap, we're just about to wrap up the program, but before we do, I want to continue to explore and remind our listeners, what are the benefits of adding vitamin E's and tocotrienols to your diet? What impact are we going to see when we take this and consume this?
I think in terms of supplementing yourself with tocotrienols, you will see the lipid profiles, your lipid profiles will improve. Lipid profile refers to triglyceride as well as cholesterol. And we will also see a improvement in terms of a free radical balance in your body that will help you to maintain good health. And not to forget, I think the recent discovery on the unique properties of tocotrienol in skin health.
Indeed. So we're talking about fairer, smoother skin?
Sorry?
Are we talking about fairer, whitened skin?
Yes, fairer and whitening skin.
Alrighty, and pointing ahead, moving forward rather, you mentioned some of the studies that you're currently in collaboration with and we're going to hear more about in future as well. All of this is, we're also going to see possible medical trial usages for tocotrienols?
Yes, I think the moving forward, we have already seen a few trials being sponsored by the government agency, US FDA, and we are seeing in the next few years, or perhaps we will see Malaysian government sponsoring more and more health-oriented clinical trial for tocotrienols. And I think there are a lot of discussions from the government funding on developing anti-cancer as well as skin beauty applications in humans.
Dr. Yap, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for your invitation.
Dr. Daniel Yap is the chief scientist from DavosLife Sciences. They've been doing extensive R&D on tocotrienols for consumer consumption. It's a form of vitamin E and shown to have significant benefits when it comes to preventing of positive effects on certain diseases like cancer and cardiovascular issues as well. Thanks for joining me, Daniel Martin, on this edition of Body and Soul on 938 Live.
Enrich your body and soul on 938 Live.
And now, the LTA traffic news.
Heavy traffic on the CTE towards the SLE between Moulmein Road and the PIE Changi exit.